Hey, 7th graders, welcome back to Tuesday of week 17. As promised, we are going to simplify expressions now using the distributive property. So what is the distributive property? The distributive property allows us to find the product of a number and a quantity. So in this case, -3 times the quantity x minus 4 means that we have one factor that is multiplying two terms. One is a variable term and one is a constant term. Some students may have learned about the box method, where you set your first term up on the outside and your quantity up on the top, and you take and you multiply each term and the product goes inside the box. For example, -3 times x, because these are not like terms, we can only combine them by multiplying, so that means we set them next to each other. -3 times x is just -3x. Now when we multiply our next term, -3 times -4, that is a positive 12. So this is one strategy that can help you with multiplying with the distributive property. However, if you do not want to use that strategy, just know you are multiplying the factor by each term inside the quantity. Let's try this next one now with fractions. My outside term is 2/3, and I'm going to be multiplying that outside term by 6x and -18. Now I know that my term is going to have an x in it, so I'm just going to put that down there for now and just focus on the coefficient of 6. 2 times 6 is 12, and 3 times 1 is 3. So this is going to simplify to a nice easy whole number, 4. However, I could have also noticed that these cross simplify because 6/3 is 2/1. So that would have also given me my 4/1. I get 4x. Now let's distribute our next term. 2/3 times -18. A whole number, I always put it over 1. I can also notice that this cross simplifies. 18/3, forget it's negative. 2 times -6 is -12. 4x minus 12. We're good? Let's do the next one. There is a lot going on in this problem, so now I need to unpack it. First off, I notice there's some order of operations going on here. Multiplication takes the biggest order here, so I'm going to bring everything else down. This would be 5x minus 3x minus 2 minus x. So that tells me it's super important that when I distribute this number here, I have to include the -3, because when I subtract this factor being multiplied by this quantity, I have to subtract both. -3 times x minus 2. So when I distribute this, 5x minus 3x plus 6. So let me check my work there. That is correct. Okay, now I can officially combine my like term, variable terms, and my constant term. 5x minus 3x is 2x, and then if I subtract an x, that means I'm left with just x plus 6, because there's nothing being added to that term. Let's check our work. We got the correct answer. Let's move on to the next one. In this case, we have a -1/4. So when we distribute that to this whole number, we have to remember we have a negative times a positive. And then when we distribute this -1/4 to this number here, we're distributing it to this -32. So we have to be very careful here to make sure we're distributing correctly. So let me do my work off to the side here. I'm going to omit the x right now for this first multiplication because I know this is going to be something x. So I'm only worrying about the coefficient. I see that this cross simplifies because 12 divided by 4 is 3/1. So that means that I'm going to be left with -1 times +3, which is -3/1, or just -3 for my coefficient in front here. And for my next term, -1/4 times -32, This does also cross simplify because negative 32 divided by positive 4 is negative 8 over 1. That's going to be negative 1 times negative 8, which gives me positive 8 over 1. And since it's positive, I represent that as a plus 8 in my expression. Let's check our work. Hey, we got it right. We only have two more kinds of problems here, and they're called fill in the blank to make the statement true problems. So we see two sides of an equation. Here's the equal sign. Before we used to have expressions. Now we have to find equivalent statements. So on the left here, I see some blanks. I don't know what this is going to be, but it looks like it's something that needs to be distributed to these parentheses here. And then on the right, I just see a two-term expression, one with a variable and one with a constant. Okay, so my guess here is that I need to figure out what number I'm multiplying by 4 to give me negative 12. So since 4x and 12x are both variable terms, what can I multiply by 4 to give me negative 12? I know it's got to be a negative number because a positive times a negative is negative. I found it. It's 3. So this term has to be negative 3. Okay, getting closer. Okay, now I have to fill in this blank here. Can go there if I want to get a product of negative 15. I know it has to be positive because a negative times a positive gives me negative. Oh, I know. Positive 5. That works. It's negative. Yep, works out. Let's do the next one. Okay, same thing over here. A variable term plus a constant, and then I see an unknown amount with a variable term in front of it plus a constant minus a variable minus a constant. This one's tricky. Go ahead and pause the video and try to figure this one out on your own before we go over the answer. Okay, if you took a moment to figure out the answer, here's how to do it. First, we look at our variable terms. What can we add to negative 3 to give us positive 9? That one's tricky. We have to think backwards. We have to think, what can we subtract 3 from to give us 9? And that answer is 12. Now that we know that this is 12, now we have to think, okay, what can we add to positive 24, or rather subtract from 24 to give us 20? That one seems kind of obvious. Our answer is 4. Let's go ahead and check our work. And that's correct. All right, 7th graders, thank you for working on distributive property today. Let us know if you need help on anything. See you in the next